Hi guys, Andrew here. I've got Ricky alongside me,
Hey guys.
and we're just waiting for Danny to log in, and then we'll get started. It looks like he's on his way in now. We'll wait for a few more attendees to come, and then we'll get going. So say hi in the chat box, and look forward to hearing your questions. So do post your questions. Ricky's going to keep an eye on those for me, so we can answer all your questions at the end of this short presentation that I'm going to give. Just a note that we've got Danny on to help answer all of the SEO questions. So let's see. Don't hold back. Let's see if we can get some good questions coming in. And Danny's just sorting his technology out, and he'll say hi in a second. Looks like I can remotely turn Danny's camera on. I wonder what happens if I do that. What will we see?
Oh.
Danny's left the room.
All right.
Didn't like the idea of that.
Yeah. There he goes. Joined again.
Scary thought. Okay, guys. So anyone that's just joined, we're just getting set up here. So start thinking about any questions you might want to ask, and we're going to get going shortly. Right, while we wait for Danny just to finish, I am exchanging messages with him. He's just getting his technology sorted. While we wait, it's not in the presentation, but the guys mentioned to me earlier to mention that everyone should check to make sure all their WordPress installs and plugins are up to date. There's quite a bit of malware floating around at the moment. So if you're using WordPress, then just do check your websites to make sure they're fully up to date and patched. I know a lot of you guys you have quite a few websites. There are quite a few good tools these days for managing multiple instances. I just have a search. We've used them in the past. If anyone knows of any, do comment in the box. If you're running tens, if not hundreds of installs, then these tools are quite handy for making sure everything's up to date across all of your installs. let you manage users as well, which is quite nice. So you could get the same user credentials across your portfolio of sites, which might be helpful. But yeah, anyone's got any suggestions? Drop them in the comments. No, thank you, Paul. So Paul's mentioned CMS Commander, good for updating multiple websites. There are a few. Check that out if you're running multiple WordPress sites and you want to try and be a bit more efficient with your updating. Danny's struggling. So I'll throw some more out there while we wait. We might as well. So obviously everyone knows that EAT is super important from an SEO perspective with the recent updates. And so thinking about your affiliate business as a business, not just a website, having address information, phone number, social profiles, all the rest of it. I'll start this presentation with my version of EAT. Who am I? All my credentials here. So did some number crunching, not for this presentation. I've stolen this from another presentation that I am working on in the background. So yeah, within MoreNiche, we paid over $60 million in commission to affiliates, which is quite a nice number. Obviously, this recording will be available, but do feel free to take down my contact details if you need to get in touch with me personally. We'll have to create a slide like this for you, Ricky, and anyone else that's going to join us.
Sure.
So people can get all of our contact details. I'm just going to crack on because clearly Danny is struggling and it's going to take a bit of time to get in. But the Q&A will come at the end anyway. So I'm just going to go through a bit of an update in terms of MoreNiche, and then we'll do the Q&A at the end. So some of the data I pulled together, which I thought people might find quite interesting. On average, it takes 70 days for an affiliate to make their first sale. This is MoreNiche data, so it's fairly skewed towards sort of organic SEO type affiliates, but I thought that was quite an interesting bit of data. Takes an average 3 months for a new affiliate to generate the first payout, which says to me that once you've made your first sale, it doesn't take that long to make your second and third. Hey, Danny. We can see you, but we can't hear you.
There we go. Let's try again. A little bit of support from Martin, and I'm there.
Yeah, good. We're in. Okay, so let me finish this slide, and then I'll get you guys to give yourselves a little introduction. 4% of affiliates go on to generate a full-time income. So I took the US average income as the benchmark. Apparently, that's $3,700 per month. And yeah, so interesting data. But Rick, do you want to introduce yourself first, and then we'll go over to Danny to introduce himself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Ricky Ahuja. I've been with MoreNiche, I guess, going back to January of this year. Part of that, I've been in the space for 18 years with a bunch of different affiliate networks and as an affiliate and an advertiser. And right now, I guess I am the head of business development and working on a few new projects, which should be super helpful for the affiliates coming up. And I guess we can go a little bit more into detail about that later on in the conversation. Off to you, Danny.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Danny Lobin, and my job up here is I'm the SEO manager at MoreNiche. So I work actively on our brand sites. So everything from Crazy Bulk all the way through to Zotrim. Yeah, managed SEO on all of those brands. Primarily, it's been in English language speaking markets. Done a little bit of international work there. Beyond that, also worked with SEO on a lot of different affiliate sites whilst I've been here as well. So I've been with MoreNiche for 2.5 years now. And in that time, I've spoken to dozens of affiliates about their site and what's going on SEO-wise.
Awesome. Great to have you guys on and available to answer questions. So guys, do post your questions and we're going to come back to those shortly. Danny, I was just telling, I don't know if you heard when you were trying to come in and out, but how important a lot of people are talking about EAT. So my first slide was my EAT. Basically, yeah. Direct contact details, and Vira mentioned it earlier that his affiliates are seeing some good movement. I think it was Vira, it could have been Eddie, by adding proper addresses, proper phone numbers, and really sort of setting themselves up as a proper business rather than just a website. Okay,
it's a tricky one. It is interesting, the things on EAT. I'll jump in a little bit because some of it relates to the actual physical improvements. Some of it is just related to Google fluctuating. So it's definitely worthwhile doing, but don't let it be one of those things that you think is going to guarantee you results overnight with Google. It's just good business practice. And yeah, Google will start fluctuating more and more, but you're not going to win by doing it today and see results tomorrow.
Yeah. Because, I don't see a downside in doing it. It's like...
Yeah, exactly. It's the right direction to go. So as long as it makes sense in that terms, and even if Google can't see it fully yet, they'll be trying to.
Awesome. So when I was in San Diego last month, I was speaking with a couple of affiliates, and they didn't realize just the amount of work that we do behind the scenes. So I wanted to just spend a minute or two just talking about some of the stuff that we do behind the scenes that you might not be aware of. For example, the abandonment solution that we've built. So every time a customer goes onto a website to try and order, and for whatever reason they don't finish that transaction, they might leave halfway through, it might be declined. There's a number of reasons why the transaction might not happen. Then we have a call center in Hamburg that operates in all the major languages that we support, and will call, send SMS messages and email consumers that don't complete their transaction to try and recover that sale and basically get you guys the commission that you deserve for sending that transaction through. So there's some really interesting data around the uplift in sales through doing this, and we see overall a 7% of all of our transactions are recovered through the abandonment solution that we have in place. So everyone will be seeing a 7% increase in commission and transactions thanks to the work that the guys do in Hamburg. There's a team of around about 20 people there, and they often get overlooked. So when you go to the websites that you're promoting and you see the phone number in the top corner, that's not just there for fun. It's, if a customer rings up, these guys are answering that call and trying to sell them products. So a shout out to our customer service team there. And the same with fulfillment. We're fulfilling hundreds, if not thousands, of units per day. They do a fantastic job at getting these products out the door. I think we mentioned last month about the FIFO score that we have for Crazy Book now, and just how amazing the customer feedback is for the brands that we promote. And I think affiliates can be proud of the fact that you're promoting brands that have such a good customer service. We pick up the phone when the customer needs us. It sounds like such a simple thing, but a lot of our competition don't do that, So yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning just that there are real human beings at the end of these phone numbers that do a lot of the heavy lifting for us. So that's really good. One of the things that we observed from some of the feedback from affiliates is just the feeling of the family culture, the community, that MoreNiche may have lost a little bit of that community and the culture around that. And I just wanted to sort of say that we are working on that quite heavily. We internally, I think it starts internally with our own business, and I think our own business has gone through growth and has changed over the last sort of 12 to 24 months. And so we're really investing in our own culture, and that will also lead to a stronger affiliate culture also. One suggestion was, do we run an affiliate event? And so this is really a question to you guys is, would you be interested in attending an affiliate meetup at some point, somewhere? If you are, please do let us know. And we're going to come on to it, but there's a couple of events that we are attending over the next month or two that I'm going to flag up that we'd love to meet you guys at there also. What I would say is, as we have grown, we've got a much broader reach in terms of our locations. So Ricky's sat in the United States, I'm in Spain, Danny's in the UK, we have people in Latvia, we have people in Germany, Norway, Asia. Pretty much we have a fairly global reach now with people working remotely. So if you do fancy meeting a member of the MoreNiche team and just grab a beer, then just please get in touch. We would absolutely love to meet more people, and we'd love for you to meet some of our guys behind the scenes as well. Update on CBD. So we've slowed down our timelines on a few new brand launches because we really want to make sure that we get things right the first time around. And when we launch a brand, it's the best it can possibly be without having to launch phase 1 and then have phase 2, 3, and 4 to get them to where they should be. So now we've slowed down the launch of our CBD brands, and CBD Muscle is going to be coming sometime April/May, and then COA to follow after that. So I just wanted to sort of suggest that, yes, these things are coming, but we want to get them right so that when you send traffic there, they're going to convert as well as they possibly can, and we don't have any issues when we first launch these brands. So. Crazy Boat, the new formula for debile is going to be going live within the next 48 hours. I know that's been a long time in the works. A lot of people have contributed to that decision. We've had affiliates, nutritionalists, scientists, all sorts of people have given feedback and input to that new formula, and it's considerably better. So we're really, really excited by that. Martin's going to record a little video. I know he's on the chat. A couple of minutes, 2-3 minute video just introducing the benefits of that. And we do have the PDF that is available. So stay tuned on the Affiliate Lounge for more updates on that as it happens over the next 48 hours. Ricky's finalizing his, well, I don't know why I'm telling you this. You're on the call, Ricky. You can tell people about your native traffic guide.
Yeah, absolutely. So by the next couple of days, the guide that we'd expressed interest in the MoreNiche Lounge should be ready. It's a pretty comprehensive 19-page guide. And one of the things that we're discussing on there is that anyone who signs up through us will be getting a bonus, which is essentially a 25% bonus on their first deposit through MGID. And I'm also in talks with them to set up a webinar exclusively for native advertising. So maybe that's something that we can do perhaps later course of this upcoming month. If anybody is interested, definitely reach out and let us know. But yeah, this guide should be ready in the next couple of days. So if you would like to get a copy of that, you could either comment in this chat box or send me a message, and I will get that out to you. And I'll post it on the MoreNiche Lounge also.
Perfect. Thank you, Ricky. That's great. A couple of upcoming events over the next month or so. First is the Italian Affiliate Expo, which Alessio is going to be attending. That is from the 29th to the 31st of March. And so literally, what is that? Like soon. At the end of this week, I believe, early next week. It's in Rome. I guess it's going to be in Italian, so you probably need to speak Italian. But yeah, definitely if you fancy a beer with Alessio and you are Italian, or you just fancy going and visiting Rome, which would be quite a nice place to visit, then let him know. The second one, which has just been confirmed today, which I imagine Danny will be attending, is the Brighton SEO. Danny, do you want to mention anything about that?
Yeah, sure. So Brighton SEO is kind of known to be one of the stronger SEO conferences in the UK that also has the benefit of having a bunch of training sessions the day before. So I'm definitely looking to go. I'm not sure what training session I'll be jumping in, but yeah, happy to have anyone tag along, and yeah, really great to know some of you.
Perfect. Yeah. So we're trying to attend more events, and it'd be really great if affiliates can come along, and especially specific events like SEO or paid, or something that's just not your typical affiliate marketing event that doesn't really have the amount of depth of training that we would want. Yeah, definitely check this out.
Yeah, some more SEO events hopefully as well, and if there's any that you do know are good, give us a shout. I'd be interested to hear what events you go to currently.
Perfect. So the few things that I'm going to throw out there that I'm going to want to get your feedback on. The first thing is a concept around an affiliate founding member type program, I'll call it. I know, so a lot of the sort of crowdfunding type new product launches that happen these days is you can become a founding member of that product and give feedback and help them invest and sort of get benefits along the way. So it's something I'm just sort of is in the discovery phase at the moment, is would our affiliates be interested in some form of founding member type program within MoreNiche, where you could perhaps even invest in the business, take on a little bit of an advisory role, and help MoreNiche move forward collectively as a stronger community. So if that's something that you're interested in, drop me a line, because it's something that I'm going to start thinking about over the next sort of month or two. The second thing is I spoke with an affiliate in San Diego who said, I don't do any form of pixeling, remarketing, and basically, would you be interested in pixeling my website and doing the remarketing for me? And so it's something, again, that we're looking at exploring a solution whereby we would do the remarketing on behalf of the affiliates, and we would pixel your website and look at some form of commission split on any paid assisted sales. So effectively, we would pay for the remarketing, we would pay for the outreach, and then figure out a commission split so it works fairly for both sides. So a couple of guys, Ricardo and Martin, are both working on this project at the moment. So drop us a line either through here or directly to the guys so that we can get some feedback on whether you'd be interested in putting your website up to be one pixeled and remarketed on behalf of. Also, we're looking at doing more webinars, more white papers, getting more experts on board. So if you've got an area of interest that you feel like you would like some additional support, Ricky's obviously looking into the native based on some feedback we had in the previous webinar. Let us know if you have an area of interest that you feel we could have experts come in and assist us with, whether that's new traffic sources, motivation, anything that you think would add value, then we're interested in doing that. So do let us know. And I was I didn't have time to pull this together today, but I was hunting around for a fact, because there is a fact that if you take an action, you're likely to achieve a result. I can't remember what it's like, something crazy. Like if you do one small step now, you'll achieve, I don't know, I'll make one up, 50% more likely to actually get the desired result. So I'm asking everyone to take an action, either in the chat here or a direct message. Drop me a message if you're interested in contributing or learning more about either the founding affiliate member project, pixeling your traffic project, or additional training, expert advice. Please, reach out and we can help you with any of those areas. So that would be great. And I'm going to open up now for Q&A. And Danny's obviously made the time to join us primarily from an SEO perspective, but so please fire away with your questions. And if there aren't any questions, I'm going to start making questions up.
Yeah, no questions yet.
I'll open up with a brief bit of a general discussion on the latest Google update and kind of what we've been seeing recently. I think that's probably something that a lot of people are interested in right now. So with the latest recent update, what we've seen in a lot of ways is kind of the reverse of last August. So things have kind of stabilized a little bit compared to where we were. We're seeing a lot of sites that were previously hit recover a little bit, but it is really varied. So if you're looking at some of the really highly competitive terms, like legal steroids at the moment is a great example. You'll see that all of a sudden at number one is Amazon, which is something we've not seen up until now. And then it's Crazy Bulk, and then affiliates start drifting in position 3, 4, 5. Look at a lot more informational search terms, and you're seeing that affiliates really are dominating anything informational search right now. There's a lot of traffic out there, and people are grabbing it. And it's pretty much open season. Anyone with good quality content and a few links is doing pretty well. And my general
of informational search term.
Informational search term examples. So you're looking at things like best ways to build X muscle, or how to get six-pack abs in 7 days. Any of the more informational long-tail search that aren't product-driven, they're more information people looking for help and guidance. I see Martin dropped in a question straight away as well. Do you believe there'll be more updates from Google? Yep, this is just the start. So March, April every year is when Google do their big update. You tend to find there's a bit of a quiet season around Christmas, and then they get back in the new year and things start to get really chaotic around this time of year. So we should see at least another couple of big updates that are similar to the recent one. I wouldn't be surprised if we're only a matter of weeks away from seeing the next big one, and it'll be adjustments most likely on the same sort of theme. So think like back to the days of Google Panda, Google Penguin. There's a big update and there's small tweaks to it and rollouts on a regular basis after that. But at this point, it looks like most of them are looking around link metrics and content quality. Exactly how they're assessing content quality is a tricky one. EAT will definitely play some sort of a factor into that, but exactly how well worked into the algorithm that is a different question.
Yes.
One of the other things that we spotted as well is that some of the more black hat methods have started being targeted. So I know that'll make some white hat affiliates very happy, seeing some of the sites that were using lots of redirected old domains and other more black hat link building methods slip down the rankings bit and open things up for other affiliates again. So I wouldn't be surprised to see if Google continues to try and take action against black hat guys, which is kind of, well, it's what they're all about, really.
And in terms of where you would encourage affiliates to focus their time, like between on-site and off-site SEO?
Yeah, I think At this point, it really has to be a 50-50 focus. You can't focus completely on content, and you can't focus completely on links. Focusing on content was kind of the big downfall for a lot of people last year from about April, May onwards. So this is something that we fell into the trap on Praisable as well. We started creating more and more high quality content, and at one point the Praisable blog was getting close to 100,000 page views a month. And then all of a sudden, overnight, it pretty much all disappeared as the updates came around. So yeah, you've got to have great content, but if you aren't generating links to that content, it won't be recognized in Google's eyes for long. Yeah, whilst it's fresh, it probably makes sense for it to rank for a while, but after that, it'll start slipping back down, and it'll be a slow decline. So yeah, 50-50 on-site, off-site.
Yeah, I notice a lot of the affiliates that do well are two or more people, and perhaps one would focus more on the content side, one would focus more on the technical SEO side. That seems to be something that's worked well for affiliates, and people that are really heavily dependent upon one, whether it's they're great at creating good quality content but perhaps don't really know much about SEO, or vice versa. They struggle in different ways. So from my experience, people that focus on content, it's a slow burn, obviously, because there's not that SEO impact. But then you could have an affiliate that is really has an SEO focus. I won't say good or bad, but has an SEO focus, and then can achieve results quite quickly. But then it's whether they can stand the test of time, I suppose.
Yeah, and I don't think there's many people out there who can claim that they can do both. So really, the challenge is finding someone to work with long term and actually fill in the gaps in your knowledge, and don't try and do everything yourself. Look at what you can outsource. Look at where your time's best spent, rather than trying to do the whole solution, because it's tricky to do that. It's really, really tricky.
Do you think that do affiliates have to become experts in SEO, or is that the wrong way to go?
I don't think they do, really. I don't think anyone does. If you look at the direction that Google's trying to drive things, it's more towards fulfilling the needs of search users. So as long as you're producing great content and you're promoting it and trying to get it out there into the world, then you're effectively doing SEO without even thinking about it. The things like having a good technical foundation are important, but a lot of that, it's a bit of investment early on in a project, and then it's there for life. So a good site structure, a nice fast website, these things, you get them right from the start and they look after themselves.
It kind of leads on to another question Martin's asked in regards to if you want to do link building, what do you recommend to put your focus on?
Okay, this is a little bit tricky. So link building is one of those ones where you can either take a stance that's more long-term and do things like guest posts, or you can take something that's got a bit more immediate action. So you can look at things such as, PBNs, anything of that type of nature. It all depends on what you're comfortable with. If you're building a brand for the long term, you want to focus more on white hat link building methods. So look at guest posts, potentially supplement that with something like curated links. So whilst curated links aren't as good as guest blogs, they're a much cheaper way and an easier way to get into it. So there's a few companies out there that provide curated links as another option these days. And it's worth just shopping around and having a look. You're talking $30-$40 for a good curated link, and then you're talking $100 to $200 for a good guest blog.
What impact do you see paid? And when I say paid, I guess I'm thinking more like boosted. So organic, boosted social media. Is there any connection between doing more social and boosting it and paying it? And obviously that'll attract traffic in its own right, but will that have a benefit on your search positions?
I've seen mixed results with that, so it all depends on the type of traffic that you're driving. If you're driving traffic with a really highly engaged audience and people who are also content creators, then it results in links. So naturally, it results in long-term SEO results. If you're just throwing traffic at it, then you tend to struggle, especially with like Facebook paid advertising is a prime example of that, where the session duration is like 5 to 10 seconds. So people don't hang around long, and they're not looking to share your content at all, being honest. So yeah, if you can find highly engaged traffic, it's worth it. We experiment with this on Ask Muscle and didn't see very good results. So we're now looking at other potential traffic sources, more targeted traffic. By all theories, it should work. But what a lot of SEOs are saying these days is, even if you're not getting direct results from it, it's worth doing because it kind of explains a lot of your background link building. If you're getting links, then it makes sense that you'd get them from somewhere. So having social signals to prove that the link should be coming in is a nice way of justifying these links that keep popping up. It's one of the strategies that Matt Diggerty recommends is to actually do social boosting for any content before you link build to it.
So it's just sending some signals to say this is decent content, and
yeah, this is decent. It's active. It's new content. People are engaging with it. But yeah, if it's proven itself from a social standpoint to be good content, then it's likely and natural for people to build links to it.
And one question about the quality of content, and that kind of, I don't want to necessarily say length, but if you had a choice where to invest your time this week, would you do 10 articles, or would you do one fantastic 10x article?
I'm going to be the tricky person here and say neither. So my thing on content has always been that it's got to be fit for purpose. So until you know what search terms you're targeting, don't even worry about your content. Find out what your competitors are doing first, look at what they're doing, and then compete with them. So if it's something really quick, like what's the best supplement for losing weight, then that's something that someone might actually want a quick, concise answer on. And if that's what the people who are ranking top are currently doing, producing a 10,000 word document isn't going to help because it doesn't match the search intent. So you're looking at what's currently winning in search and then trying to improve on that from a value perspective rather than just a number of word perspective is always the best way. And by value, I mean things like making sure there's rich imagery in there, making sure, if possible, you can add video content. So yeah, your article doesn't just have to be words, and more and more walls of text that are starting to push people away than anything else.
Good, okay.
Just spotted Paul's question on training for link building as well. There isn't anything available at the moment, but that is definitely something that would be interested in creating. So yeah, I'm sure Andy's scribbling that down right now for me to create. So we'll get something put together before the next webinar and shared with everyone.
External resources, like where's your go-to resources when it comes to sort of best practices and yeah.
Okay, so there's a few different ones, but I found that with everything on link building, the biggest problem is if it's highly scalable, then most people are already doing it and your response rates will get poorer and poorer. So a lot of the common advice out there that you'll see even on Mars or on Distilled, all of the big SEO blogs will be saying things like search for your keyword and then guest post or something and find sites where you could guest blog. That's probably one of the poorer ways of doing it. You actually wanted to look more and more for the sites that aren't proactively looking for guest blog contributions. You want to find the high quality websites, not the ones that are promoting guest blogs just to try and get you to hand over $50 or whatever it happens to be. So a lot of it comes down to patience and networking and actually looking who else is doing really well in your space and building a relationship with them, and over time introducing opportunities to link build. One of the other things that's really useful at the moment is starting to pull together other people's work. So whether that's you're doing something like the top 10 fitness blogs, and you create your list, and then naturally you share it with them, and they could then end up linking to your website. So it's a lot of it is all built on creating relationships with real people and actually engaging in a community these days, rather than just sending out 1,000 emails and hoping for the best. Our outreach of that sort of nature, you tend to get 1% or less response rates. The more personalized and less generic you get, the higher response. So some of ours were going up to 4 or 5% at best. So it is a game of patience, really.
If you have, so if an affiliate has multiple websites, would you encourage them to focus on taking those sites broader or more niche? Or how would you, if you had multiple sites, is there a strategy for, more domination, I suppose?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of it depends on the nature of the sites, and this is one of the big problems with SEO, is that most generic advice anyone can give is flawed because it changes from result to result. But I tend to focus on sites being very topically relevant. So if you've got several fitness sites, there's no harm in having 2, 3, 4 websites with something about Dianabol on them. That's not going to do you any damage. But if on your fitness related website you're mentioning skincare products or something else that's not topically relevant, then you're going to find it a lot harder to rank. It's much easier to have a general cluster of authority around a central theme than it is to have something really broad. Some areas you can probably get away with it. So say fitness to weight loss isn't a massive jump, but going much further than that, and it's a bit of a challenge, really.
Yeah. Craig's just asked, how far does he have to travel to get a beer if he lives in San Diego? Which is a good question. Funnily enough, we just come back from San Diego for traffic conversion, so that's a shame, but we've been there the last few years, and Ricky's normally there every year. So
he's actually in San Francisco.
San Francisco, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think there's a big SEO conference there as well, so if Andy's happy to put me on the flight, I'll come for a beer and join you at some point.
San Francisco is great. I love San Francisco, so we need to organise it. Martin's just commented that he'd love for someone to pay for him to come and have a beer with you. We'll see that proposal at the next board meeting. But yeah, we like to tie things into conferences if we can, because it's a great way to meet people and learn some knowledge. I guess that's quite far away from you, isn't it, Ricky?
It's on the other coast, but 4.5-hour flight. Yeah.
Cool. Any other thoughts, Danny, on things we can share with the guys? Any specific questions from any affiliates listening?
I think the other...
Yeah, no, I think we were caught up on the questions in the chat. But Danny, is there anything like preventative that affiliates can do to kind of make sure that they don't get affected by any upcoming updates at all?
Yeah, I think the big one that we're seeing with a lot of affiliate sites that we've been auditing recently is the need to start doing a content audit and start to understand much better what content you've already got on your website. So one of the key problems that people have is too many articles in the same on the same topic. So whether that's having an article about Dianabol, an article about Dianabol dosage, another one about side effects, and another one about the history of it. So if you start to go too granular like this, you find out that a lot of them actually interfere with each other in rankings, and Google's not really sure which articles are meant to be the authority. So consolidating those into bigger articles can definitely help. Also, just not having content on your site that doesn't rank for anything. There is no harm in stripping content out of your website. We deleted about 2/3 of the content on the Crazy Book blog, much to a lot of people's dismay who spent a lot of time creating it, and instantly we started to see the results. So the leaner your site is, the more often Google will crawl the pages, the more often they'll pick up on you actually making just a little tweak, and you'll start to see things actually change a lot faster. You're not waiting on Google for a week to crawl each individual page. You'll see Google crawling every page every day. And yeah, you can start to experiment a lot more and make changes on a more regular basis. In terms of doing content audits, we've got some templates, so I'm more than happy to share those. Myself and Martin have worked with a couple of affiliates on content audits in the past, so we've got a couple of generic templates and processes to go through for it. So yeah, more than happy to share those.
So there are a couple of more questions, one from Martin and one regarding articles. What is the best approach? One long article that covers all topics, or split up into smaller ones with each topic?
Okay, this is another one where the best place to start is look at the search terms. Look at the search terms you want to target, Google them, see what your competitors are doing. If they're doing a long article that covers multiple topics and ranking in multiple areas, then copy them. If not, then go into the more specific individual ones. So going back to my Dianabol example, the Dianabol dosages, side effects, all those sort of things tend to be wrapped up into a single article. But then if you look at some other things like the cost of Dianabol, that tends to be a bit more distinct its own search term. And there's no real reason that this happens. It's just that what seems to have happened in Google is that they're recognizing certain questions as being related and more likely to rank those, whereas other topics are not seen as closely related or as relevant. So yeah, it's all content research really. The best place to start is Google. You don't have to have any expensive tools. Look what's ranking currently and just think about what you can do to add more value. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Google's showing you who ranks right now, so you can just start to copy what's already ranking.
Cool. And then Craig had a question, where can he get the templates that you were talking about earlier?
Drop your affiliate mentor a message now and make sure that they're shared with you. Yeah, we'll try and share a lot more of these things publicly. So we've got a bunch of SEO resources that are just going through proofreading at the moment that will also be shared with all affiliates.
Awesome. And then Craig has a follow-up questions. Do we have a shared tool system?
At this point, not. But if you have certain tools like you want access to, we can definitely export data for you. We have a lot of accounts for pretty much every tool you can imagine at this point. I think Andy might be able to elaborate on that a little bit. He probably knows better what tools we have than myself.
Yeah, if you go to MoreNiche.com, I think it's SEO tools. This is not a complete list, but it gives you a sort of so we've got a bunch of things like Ahrefs, different sort of tools that we use internally for different purposes. So the best thing is to really work with your affiliate mentor, because they can help pull reports from all of these tools based on your unique circumstances. So, depends on what you're looking at going after, whether you're looking at on-site stuff, off-site. So and if there's a tool that we haven't got that we should have, then we'll go and get it. So it's really not an issue.
The other thing that I'd add to tools as well is don't forget the most important tools, which are kind of the free ones. So Google Search Console is kind of an SEO goldmine. It gives you a lot better details over your historic rankings. One of the first things I do when I start new work on any website is I go into Search Console, export all of the keywords in their current rankings, and look for anything between position 5 and position 20, and what pages are ranked for those terms, because those are kind of the things that you can get very quick wins on. You can do a little bit of on-page optimization work, build a link or two, and find yourself in the top 5 positions and getting traffic. So yeah, start at Search Console if you've got a relatively big existing website and then work on to the tools from there.
What I see more and more is, the rich snippets taking up more and more space. Any advice for people to try and get those rich snippet pieces of exposure?
Yeah, so a lot of that is about the structure of your article and making sure that you've got clear headers. You're using things like bullet pointed lists or numbered lists. It's another one really where the best thing to do is to copy your competitors, have a look at what it's pulling from their actual page content to form that rich snippet, and then try and copy that format. But on the whole, it's all about the same sort of things. It's about having a good header layout with sections in it, making sure that you're making it readable with bullet points and numbered lists, and just making it really easy to consume.
And also video obviously is taking up more and more, taking up a decent amount of landscape for more broad terms. It kind of ties into John's moan about influencers. And it's like influencers are just becoming more and more part of the landscape that we're operating in. And it's not like you can fight these guys. You have to kind of embrace it and leverage it. And whether you either become an influencer yourself or whether you leverage other influencers, it's definitely should form part of your strategy in terms of getting your business out there. Influencers, from an point of view, how do you leverage? How do you see affiliates being able to leverage influencers?
Influencers really are just an extension of brand. So brand is probably more important now in terms of SEO than it's ever been. So if you're still sat on a domain which is like brand name reviews or whatever it happens to be, then it's probably time to start thinking about moving away from that. As soon as you start building your own entity, you can start working with other influencers a lot easier, and it's a lot easier to start reaching out and networking them. They can generate massive amounts of exposure for you. They have highly engaged audiences, people actually talking about the same sort of things as you and creating other content. So yeah, influencers and the power of social media really can't be underestimated for its potential in SEO.
One question here, just this search term, how to build muscle. So there's obviously quite an in-depth rich snippet there. And if I type how to build muscle fast, I get the same rich snippet, but it's not as relevant because it's not, it's not handling that fast. So is that an opportunity? Would you say that's an opportunity to take over that landscape for that search term?
Yeah, there's definitely opportunity to do it. We've seen this happening a little bit more with Google since the latest update, that some things that don't seem quite as relevant for long tail terms are actually ranking a little bit better now. But I'd say if you was creating a how to build muscle fast article and the points were a lot clearer, then you should rank for it. Looking at the strong lifts title there, they've actually got how to build muscle fast in the title, which is probably helpful there. But it's not really repeated in the body of content or even that well targeted towards it.
Yeah, but it's interesting. You've got your rich snippet, you've got more questions, you've got videos. You have to scroll a long way before you get to even a listing.
This is especially apparent on desktop. On mobile, the results at the moment are looking very different to desktop as well. So if you're not already doing it, I encourage you to search on both and start taking a look at your mobile rankings in a lot more depth, because 78% of traffic is mobile as well. Just spotted a question from Paul about, is it worth having a table of contents on your pages? Yes, definitely yes. I've seen several case studies where people have just added tables of contents to a bunch of content and seen improvements. I think it really helps to Google see the actual structure of your article. Also, it helps to prevent people from bouncing back to the search results. So if they can see the general format of your article and they're only interested in section 7, then they can just click section 7 and jump into that and carry on reading, rather than hitting the back button and you potentially looking worse from a bounce rate perspective.
Okay.
Just not standing.
He didn't like your answer.
I can't blame him.
So did you see a question from Paul, I guess?
Yeah, so just covered that one really, but
yeah,
table of contents really, it should be one of the must-haves. I've seen other people also kind of stretch it out into like one very thin single line with just a list of headers and having header anchors, so it looks less like a table of contents, but you still got the quick links. But yeah, it is worth doing. With everything though, it's an SEO change, so change it on about half of your content. Monitor that half of the content against the rest of your content, and you'll be able to prove whether it was efficient or not and how big the impact actually was.
Cool.
Let's see. Any other questions that I've missed, Ricky?
I don't see any more questions in our chat. Danny, let me ask you a question. Is there a site that you refer to that you like from an SEO perspective related to the supplements and Nutra and what have you that's doing it right?
In general, no. So if you want to be really good at SEO, the best thing you can do is read as broadly as possible. You'll never get one perspective that's right. So the perfect example is looking at like your Neil Patels of the world, who are very, I made X change, I got Y result, or looking at people like Josh, who sees himself more as an SEO scientist and does very closed environment tests. They're two very good SEOs who are kind of brilliant in their own ways, but neither one of them can tell you the full story. So the more you read and the broader that is, the better, whether that's being on Reddit. Gary Eyes quite often jumps into the SEO Reddit channels and actually talks about some of the things that we presume and take for granted. One of the big bombshells he dropped recently was that return to search actually isn't a ranking factor, which is something that's got a lot of people wondering now what actually is a ranking factor, because that was one of the ones that was taken for granted and it's been kind of confirmed by Google engineers previously. So yeah, Reddit's a must-have. Reading your search engine roundtable, pretty much anything that's out there, the more you read, the better position you'll be to make a more rounded decision. Never read a single article and take it at face value. There's always another story. Updates can happen during the middle of the case study that impact results. You'll never truly find out until you start trying to apply what other people have said and see the real results for yourself.
Cool. One of the affiliates had asked me via email before, is there any direct correlation to anybody that does AdWords, paid ads, and their actual SEO rankings? I mean, does Google look at that in a beneficial way at all? If so, yeah.
So the official word is no. They have specifically said they are very separate teams. There is no relationship at all. But if Google is taking any measure of on-site statistics, then you can guarantee that paid traffic is forming part of that. So Google's got a massive set of data. They've got access to the Chrome data when people aren't opting out of it. So they can see a lot of things that are going on websites, and they've got an amazing amount of data to go on and make decisions. If you don't need analytics on your website for them to tell if people like your article or not. So yeah, paid traffic could have some influence. I've seen examples in the past where people have gone as far as purchasing newspaper single line ads and actually seeing longer term organic ranking uplift because of that and the traffic that it brought to their website. So all traffic is good traffic. Don't count it out, but just be careful that you're not burning away money on paid traffic, just expecting SEO results from it.
Yeah, great point.
Perfect. So we'll just wait for if any other questions pop in the next sort of 30 seconds to a minute. I'll just mention that the next webinar is going to be, again, the final Monday of the month, which is the 29th of April. We're hoping to have a special guest, which will be confirmed nearer the time. I'll share this webinar where you can sign up on Facebook after this event, with also the recording from this session. Yeah, I just want to thank Danny for his time and his insights, and Ricky also for joining us and helping assist with the webinar. Any SEO questions after this, you can contact Danny directly. You can contact your affiliate mentor. Definitely speak to your affiliate mentors because they have access to all of these tools. Just to answer your question, John, we will be sending emails, network-wide emails for all of the webinars. But make sure you're in the Facebook lounge because that's where we tend to announce stuff nearer the time. And yeah, then do connect with your mentors because they have access to all these tools. They have access to the knowledge internally. And the closer you can be with your affiliate mentor, the more results you're going to get out of MoreNiche. There's definitely a direct correlation between the more time you spend speaking to your affiliate mentor and the better results you get from the network. All right, thanks for your time, guys.
Cool. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers.
Okay, bye.